Hi, it's Patsy. So I've popped on today to do this hashtag that Simon over at the Hermit's Cave done this week. And it's hashtag my workhorse decks, and it has 7 prompts. You can add to the prompts if you want, he said. It's all about how you use your decks and which decks you use for a specific part of that, your practice. So if the prompts miss out something that you use a deck for, then you can add that. So there's, like I said, there's 7 prompts. The first one is shadow work. What deck do you use, or decks do you use to do your shadow work? I specifically bought the Deviant Moon to do that. There you go. I'm not going to show too much because I've spoke about this deck quite a lot in my last couple of videos, and I do love this deck, and it's excellent for shadow work. It is brilliant for shadow work, as well as other. But yeah, so that I bought that specifically to do my shadow work. But before that, I would use any deck to do it. But the one that I found I was drawn to most, and that I pulled time and time again, was the Jumbauer Tallow. There was just something about this deck that when I wanted to do shadow work, this was the one that I would go and pull. And I think a lot of it was not only because of the images based on fairy tales and what have you, it was because they're not very wide awake. The images aren't very wide awake, and you could kind of get lost in the imagery without taking notice what the actual card was. So you wasn't sort of having that card meaning in your head. You could just go into the images and intuitively get your answers that you was looking for. Look at that, gorgeous. This deck is so pretty, but I just found it excellent to do shadow work. And like I said, before I got the Deviant Moon, and even now I still do use this one with it. It's just a really good deck that I feel comfortable doing shadow work with. And again, inner child work, which is the second prompt. Which deck do you use to do your inner child work? Again, this was the one that I would very often pick up, and still have if I need to clarify different things or want more than sort of one deck, working with one deck. But I specifically bought this one, the Inner Child, a Fairytale Tarot. And again, it's big cards, very bright, and I find these really good for my inner child work. I do have the Nicoletta Ciccoli, and I have used that in the past, but I find that for me, the Jumbauer and this deck work better. The book to go with this is very in-depth, and I always read what is written in the book, as well as go into the images and pull from it whatever is speaking to me. But I also like the fact that they're based on fairy tales, and she tells you what fairy tale they're from. So that's another way of exploring that inner child, is by the actual fairy tale that the cards depicting. So I'm finding these really, really good to do inner child work. So that is the second prompt. What deck do you use for inner child work? So the third prompt is pathworking. What deck do you use for pathworking? Well, pathworking isn't something that I do particularly a lot of. I've only done it a few times. And the deck that I use is the Ancestral Path Tarot. Again, I like the size of these because it's so big, you can just go into those images. Some of the images you know are not really, for me, doesn't spark that to go into and to do any path working with. But I find that the suit of Pentacles, which is the Sacred Circles here, is one of the suits that I do use a lot. But I actually like the fact that each suit depicts a different time period and a different theme. So you can choose whichever one you want to go to on a particular time. But like I said, I do find that I have been using the Sacred Circles, the Pentacles of this deck. Absolutely gorgeous. though I have used this one, the Wheel of Fortune, planetary aspect of, you know, going and travelling around there. But because it has, like I say, different themes, then you've got more choice, I find, like with the staves and what have you. This imagery is, especially, like I say, the sacred circles really talks to me, and I just love to get in there. I mean, I'll go in the tent, and this is what I find when I get in there. So yeah, like I said, it's not something that I make regular part of my practice, but when I do it, this is a gorgeous deck to do it with. But like I said, specifically for me, it tends to be that sacred circles suit. So the next question is personal growth and development. So what deck really pushes you for your personal growth and development? What one deck, or decks even if you want, that really push you? And for me, it's the New Era Raymond's Tarot. I had this previously, and I really struggled to read with it because of certain images like this one. Some of the images are absolutely gorgeous, and some of them are absolutely beautiful, but then there's some real ones in there that really push me, really struggled with. I mean, the quartz on these are absolutely beautiful, and this Empress, you know. So some of the cards are really stunning, but then there was other cards, when they came up, I just recalled and I just picked the cards up and I just couldn't read with them. But I rebought it because I knew this was something that I had to push past. So I rebought it, and even now I really have to be in the right frame of mind to get these out to work with, because sometimes them images still make me recoil a bit, but I know I've got to push past that. And the reason why I struggle with them, and like I say, it's not a deck that I pull out often, it's just one I pull out on occasions, but I'm glad that I did buy it back. But this really pushes me, this deck really pushes me to get past the imagery of some of it. I mean, look at that one, beautiful. But yeah, so that is the one deck that I would say really kind of pushes me. So the next one is number 5, Ride or Die. So which deck is the one that you kind of always go for if you want to pull a quick free cards, or, you know, just want a quick reading or anything like that, you know, just to grab, and it's always on your desk, you just grab it and read with it. Well, I don't particularly have one. I have so many, so I couldn't show you all of them, and I couldn't choose just one because it depends on my mood, it depends on what decks I've got come in and what I'm using. I mean, at the minute, it's the Deviant Moon. Since I've got it, that's this one. If I want to pull 3 cards, or if I want to just sort of get a clarifier or whatever it is, this is the one that I'll go and grab. And this may stay like that because I absolutely love this deck. So at the minute it's the Deviant Moon, but next week that might change. So I don't have one specific deck that I've always kind of gone for. It's dependent on what I'm working with and how I'm feeling. So number 6 is Hello There. So which new deck have you got come in that you can't leave alone? Deviant Moon. But apart from that one, I got the Phantasma Tarot. I got that a couple of weeks ago, and again, this is one I can't pull down. If I'm not pulling that Deviant Moon, I'm pulling this one. Very different to the Deviant Moon, very different feeling. So again, it would depend on my mood which one I grab. Very often I grab 2, both of them, and pull cards from both. One deck for the original reading and the other as a clarifier. They don't match, don't matter to me. But I love this deck. But I love Paulina Cassidy's artwork anyway. Now I've got all of the decks. This one, she uses the name Paulina Faye. But it's a beautiful deck, and I think out of all of her decks, this one is my favourite. And I love how it's borderless. I love the colouring, I love the artwork. So yeah, I'm pulling this an awful lot at the minute. I'm really enjoying working with this. So like I said, if I'm not pulling this, I'm pulling this, and sometimes I'm pulling both. But they're the 2 that I mainly sort of grabbing when I want to do a quick read, click quick, you know, 2-3 cards, or even if I decide I'm pulling a spread that day, then, you know, they're the two that I'm grabbing. But that might change next week. So the last one is Hello Again. So which deck are you working with at the moment that you've had in your collection for a long time but haven't used it for a while but decided to pull it out? Well, a few days ago, I actually pulled out again. I hadn't worked with it for a while. The Anna K Tarot. It's the Anna K. And I'm really enjoying using the Anna K. I used to love this deck anyway, but it got put up and I didn't really get it out again until, like I said, a few days ago. But I love this deck. The imagery talks to me, but I love the direction of these cards as well. A lot of the courts and the people in the deck are looking different ways, very directional. So, you know, I like to read directional as well. And the faces, you know, on some of these just make it so easy to read. And like I said, I've forgotten just how much I enjoyed working with this deck till I pulled it out again. So I'm really enjoying revisiting this deck. I really am having fun with this deck again. And it's in a bag on my side now for me to pull all the time as well. And now I'm got using it again, it's more than likely going to stay there because, like I said, I did forget how much I enjoyed using this deck. It's just lovely. So yeah, so that is prompt 7. Hello again. Which deck are you using, revisiting and enjoying revisiting? And it's the Anna K for me. The only thing that annoys me a bit about this deck is you can see that, you know, the black, don't know if you can see very well, but yeah, the black comes off, so they look a bit scruffy and what have you. But apart from that, I love the deck. So that is my BR to Simon hashtag my workhorse decks. I've done it quite quickly, but then I always do. But if you do this tag, you'll have to let me know and I'll come and have a watch, because I do love to see what decks people work with. So thanks for watching, and I will see you all again soon. Bye for now.